We're gonna do a little jump back before we get to the news because Billy is down in Philly, and he called early. We couldn't get him on, but we don't want to rack up those long distance charges, so we'll go right to Billy. Billy, good morning. How are you, man?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you very much. I enjoy your show, and your last guest was terrific.
Oh, I appreciate that, sir.
I'm really going to take the things that he said and turn them around a little bit.
Okay.
I have a house full of grandchildren who are in their 20s, and I'm listening to them talk about their lives and voting in politics. And they have something that's basically screwed up. All I can talk about is who they like. Do you like Trump, Biden? It doesn't matter. Who you like, as your last guest pointed out, is meaningless. They're not going to be your friends. What you need to do is think about people who are going to support things that you support. And whether you vote them or not, those issues are going to continue, and they'll always continue. This generation is extremely cynical, extremely frightened, and extremely opportunistic. It's not as though they think everything is sweet. They don't. But they're frightened. One of the points I wanted to make with them is that you've got to stop thinking about who it is and what you want. I have like 3 simple issues that I would ask them about. First of all is defense. How do you feel, 20-year-old, about America's role in the world? We're a lot, I think, less secure than we were when the day you were born 20 years ago. But we've got China, we've got the Middle East, we've got crazy North Korea, we've got also, we've got the Muslims and the Christians that hated each other for 2,000 years. What do you want to do? Our Navy is about as smaller than China's. Our military budget is a little over 3.3% of the gross domestic product. It used to be over 5 with Ronald Reagan. If you're going to increase the military, you're going to have to stop something else. So you have to make decisions. Which decision do you want to make? They're being asked that, whether they know it or not, every time there's an election. The second issue has to do with the court. They have a Supreme Court that is now fairly conservative. It tends to resist what the government is doing, what the agencies are doing. Do you want a court that essentially resists, or do you prefer a court that kind of goes along with everybody else in Washington and says the same thing? I'm not telling you how to vote, but that's what you're voting for, and you can't avoid it. And the third thing, which your previous guest was very good about, is deficits. You are living with, kids, inflation. We can't finance what we do with taxes. We never raise enough taxes for it. We can't sell bonds because nobody will loan us the money. So we essentially print it at the Federal Reserve. It's not really printing, but that's what happens when they blow up their balance sheet.
Right.
Now, our debt goes up about $1 trillion every, I think it's 4 or 5 months, by doing nothing, simply because all that 1% and 2% debt has to be refinanced at 4%.
Right.
Are you comfortable with this kind of inflation? This is going to make houses harder to buy because the prices will be higher. The interest rates will be higher to finance them. Inflation affects everybody. And you have to decide, you young person voter, what you want. And when you vote or you don't vote, that's the decision you are making. It's not about people. It's about where you want the country to go. And you can raise 5 or 6 other issues. But they all are always alive, and the president always has a voice in all of these things. That was my point.
Billy, those are 3 great points, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I bet your household, you did a great job bringing those kids up, and I'm making that assumption based on what you just said. But I think I would bet on that one. I think it's a pretty accurate assumption.
You are very kind, and you're absolutely correct. my 3 children are wealthier than I am, happier than I am, married to the same people they married when they were young.
Wow, good for you.
It has worked out.
Well, good for you. Do me a favor. Don't be a stranger to the show. I appreciate it. I know you've called a couple of times in the past, but we'd like to hear from you again. And
I love
appreciate
it. I don't know that you get a lot of 20-year-olds listening at this time of day.
Well, but, I know. That's what we got to try. We got to try to reach a few more of the younger kids somehow. So
that's all. I just wanted to. I think they're more frightened and more screwed up than correctable than you might imagine.
No, you're probably right. Billy, have a good day, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Don't be a stranger. I guess this would be the song for the youth, for the politician, right? I like to dig these songs out and try to put a little meaning behind it. Bruce